chorus was founded in 1961 by 4 guys that thought it would be fun to get together and sing in the traditional style of the barbershop quartet. And before long, they had interested others in doing it, and when they reached 20, they could apply for their charter from the Barbershop Harmony Society, which they did, and it was granted in December of '61. And we have put on an annual show just about every year from then until now.
There's a star agleam to guide us, and the wild is calling, calling, let us go.
A year ago at our show last year, Vernon Bailey, who is an auctioneer but also an accomplished performer of poetry, of Robert service, came to me. He was on our show last year as well as an actor. And he came to me and said, have you ever thought about putting a show together with Robert Service poetry and music? Because I've done a few of those things, and they're wonderful. And thus the seed was planted. And it seems like we couldn't have picked a better winter, because it feels like Alaska in the Sioux these days.
If I may add, it was a rich history of both American and Canadian gold seekers back at that time, late 1800s, and we have almost a dozen people from the American side who join us every Monday night to sing. And so there were so many good reasons for looking at that, a rich history and acknowledging both the American and Canadian side. It just meant to be, it was a good fit.
And plus it allowed us all to grow these ridiculous looking scruffy little beards so we can look like turn of the century, you know, gold rush Klondike guys.
You don't look like a man who's struck gold. If you don't mind me asking, what did you do with it all?
I spent half my money on gambling, drinking, and women. The rest I wasted.
When we started looking for songs that had something to do with the gold rush, there are none. There's only one, the Johnny Horton classic from 1960, North to Alaska, which anybody who's a fan of that era of music knows that song. That's the only one, and that became sort of the theme song of the show, and the one we do right at the top of the show to open it. The other songs were selected from the point of view that they convey some emotion that would have been prevalent to those gold seekers. Songs about missing home, songs about remembering happier times when you were out on Moonlight Bay with your sweetheart instead of slogging up over a mountain pass.
And being down and out.
Songs about being down and out, like 16 Tons, you know, a song about no matter how hard you work, they weren't getting ahead. That's what 16 Tons is about, the Tennessee Ernie Ford classic. So there were lots of songs that spoke to the emotions of that era, even though they aren't from that era or even about that era.
And spoke to, in a sense, to spirituality. There were a lot of people who died, a lot of people who suffered, and you know, they looked to a higher power back then, you know. So generally, from one year to another, we usually do pick one spiritual-like song that we put in there, and this fit perfectly.
I know almost nothing of his story. He died before I was born, leaving no record, no diary of his travels. Oh, how I wish I could hear what it was like from someone who was actually there.
The notion of this dream that happens where a fellow's trying to write a book and discover what his grandfather, who was a Klondiker, went through, and finding out some behind-the-scenes information from the ghosts of the guys who were there. And Harry Houston is sort of our spokesman as the ghost of the men who were there. And we could, once we had that notion, then I was able to write the script in just a matter of a day or two. I don't like to just do a concert where we just rattle off one song after another. Our shows are always more a little bit like musical theater, where we employ, I say employ, they're all volunteers, actors from the local theater community. This city is blessed with such a rich amount of talent of community theater, and we're blessed that they volunteer their time to come and help us out on our show every year. So we do the singing, they do the acting, and together we do something completely unique. I don't think anyone else in town is doing shows quite exactly like ours.
Until August the 16th, 1896, when a fellow by the name of George Carmack found a nugget as big as yours.
And the road to